Hey everybody, it's Guy here. It's Thursday, October the 16th, 2025. Welcome to this video. This video is an invitation for people to join me on a life-changing trip and a training in March of next year, March of 2026. And I'm going to explain the purpose of this. I want to immediately start this video by saying that this is not unscripted. I'm not trying to make this entertaining. This is an informational video about something very serious and close to my heart. So I apologize in advance if this isn't slick and professional, but that's not the point, as you will see. Now, the dates that we're working with, I will try to remember to mention them again, but if I forget, you can scroll back and get these. It's basically an ayahuasca medicine journey, to drink the medicine a number of times, along with Kambo, Kambo, a very serious healing medicine. It's going to take place during what is, I don't know what it is in the States, but in Canada, in Ontario, we have our March break for school, March 16th to 20th. So that's a Monday to a Friday, March 16th to 20th. So we could travel on the weekend before and we could travel on the weekend after or whatever. But the actual retreat, which will be at a retreat center in Costa Rica, will be March 16th to 20th of 2026. I drive a school bus as one of my gigs, and I can only travel and go to these things when school is out. I also want to mention that there will be a follow-up in Ontario, Canada, in April, the weekend of April 10th to 12th. So that's I think a Friday through Sunday. So April 10th to 12th, we will meet again for another ayahuasca focused experience. So those are the dates, and we're going to be drinking ayahuasca. But I now want to get to the content of this video. It's related to that, but it's not only about that. And I hasten to say that if ayahuasca is not your thing, you don't have to see this as a barrier. This is just an opportunity for people who want to do some deep work and a really deep training. And that will be the subject of other videos. This is my second attempt to record this video. I got into the last one and it was running a little long. And then, would you believe it, a vacuum truck pulled up in front of the house and started very loudly vacuuming the sewer. And it drowned me out. And when you go further into this training, you'll realize that things like that are not an accident. Somebody doesn't want me recording this video. So I call this the Jedi training. And I call it that, you may laugh, but I call it that for a reason. Because when I say the Jedi, you instantly know what I'm talking about, don't you? The Star Wars movies, and Alec Guinness in that role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you can think of Yoda, and you can think of young Luke Skywalker. Here's my idea in a nutshell. I want to create a group of people If you want to romanticize it, we can think of ourselves as an order of Jedi Knights. But I want to create a group of people, organize a group to do deep training in white magic and all the skills, the shamanic skills, the healing skills, the creating miracles, all that Neville Goddard stuff about manifestation. Not a word he used much, by the way. I want a group of us to start working at the highest level, or the deepest level if you prefer. This is a spiritual path. I had an experience that I'll get into in a second, which I think now qualifies me to take a leadership position in this, as not so much as the boss, but as a catalyst to bring this into being. Now, I could turn this into a 3-hour video, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to try and stay on track here. There will be other videos, there will be meetings, and so on. In my opinion, we are living through a global takeover by a group of sinister people. They are comprised of elite families. We all have heard of the Rothschilds. And there are probably, they say there's 13 families. I don't know. I imagine that might be right. I have spent the past 35 years studying society. 25 years as an award-winning journalist, not pumping my own tires here, but I won 14 Kenneth R. Wilson Awards for excellence in business journalism, including the gold medal for best feature. And one year I won both the gold and the silver prize for best editorial. Doesn't make me better than you, doesn't make me smart, doesn't make me special, but I was bringing out 2 publications over a period of 25 years that gave me the opportunity to examine every single industry, everything from mining to forestry, from manufacturing to retail, municipal systems, provincial and federal levels of government. It was quite the education being in that position. And of course, being a journalist, people brought me stories about corruption. So I saw the good things and how society works when it works, and I got quite an education in how corruption works. I think it was 2014, or was it 2013? Anyway, after 25 years, I went to Peru to drink ayahuasca, which I'd heard about from a friend. And I'd read some Graham Hancock accounts of ayahuasca, and it really intrigued me. And so to celebrate 25 years in the environmental services business, because that's what my magazines were about, I went to Peru to do a trek in the Amazon rainforest and have the opportunity to go to a spiritual center outside of Iquitos and sit with Ricardo Amaringo, who's a very well-known and respected shaman or curandero. And I sat with him over New Year's Eve with a group of people, many of whom are friends of mine to this day. And we drank ayahuasca. I drank 3 times. And my entire world changed, as it often does with that medicine. The active ingredient of which is DMT, or dimethyltryptamine. And I entered the spirit world, as you might call it. My consciousness entered different dimensions of reality. That was the beginning of my learning that there is no physical world, and this is all a dream that's dreaming itself. I mean, yes, there is a physical world, but it's made of imagination. That takes a little getting used to. And that's why high-level gurus and people like Neem Karoli Baba, otherwise known as Maharaji, who is my guru, performed their miracles. I've read 7 books by about Neem Karoli Baba's life, because it interested me, but also I was fascinated by all the accounts, very credible accounts of the miracles he performed. And that led to me studying all kinds of law of attraction type manifestation and Neville Goddard type techniques for bringing things about through the power of intention. This group of people that's in the process of taking over the world use those techniques. And what I want to organize is a group of white magicians, a group of people just like you and me, to do the training so that we can oppose them successfully using the white, light-filled, positive side of this, whereas they come from the side of power and darkness. In 2020, and I'm going to try to not use trigger words for the algorithms in this recording, but in 2020 something happened. Can you remember what it was? And it affected every country in the world that then locked down their economies. And in 2021, people turned to a way out of the lockdowns, which was a medical procedure, you may remember. Remember the dancing nurses? That's spellcraft. That's right out of the Middle Ages. If you want to understand revelation of the method and spell casting, I recommend, as I often do, that you go on YouTube and you look for the video from the 2012 London Olympics opening ceremony. It's all there. Dancing nurses, children in hospital beds, and a 10-story tall figure of the Grim Reaper. That was 8 years before it happened. That's how far in advance these things are put into motion before they come to pass. And that whole scheme would have been planned for decades, I'm sure. These people are serious. Stanley Kubrick spoke about them in his final film. Remember Eyes Wide Shut? Remember the guy in the mask and the hooded figures? And that film was shot on a closed set in a Rothschild mansion. We've never seen the director's cut of that movie. We've only seen what was released to the public. But apparently from people who've seen the footage, it included, how can I put this? Activities that involve children. Sound familiar? Name Epstein come to mind? Whitney Webb's book, One Nation Under Blackmail, is highly recommended. Anyway, his movie included that, but that stuff was cut out for obvious reasons. Anyway, the movie came out, actually it was within 1 week of the first director's rush. I think they call them the rushes. The sponsors of the film, the financial backers, got to see a preview of the movie. And within 1 week, Stanley Kubrick was dead. So these guys play hardball. So that's what we're up against. And they can be opposed in all kinds of practical ways. I mean, Whitney Webb is doing a brilliant job exposing their plans and schemes in the 3D world. I could name other people. Catherine Austin Fitts talks about the corruption in the banking industry. We're going into a worldwide economic collapse for which almost no one's prepared, because it's not just a stock market bubble, problems in the bond market, or real estate collapse. What most people are missing, who are going into cash, even the ones who see what's coming and go into cash to protect themselves, thinking they can then buy in when prices come down, those people are all going to be wiped out. Why? Because it's going to be a currency collapse. Remember the stories from Zimbabwe or the Weimar Republic where people were burning bundles of dollar bills because the currency was so worthless, it was cheap. It was cheaper than firewood. That's where we're going. And not many people see that. But the people who do see it are investing in assets like gold and silver and copper, precious metals, collectibles like art. If you have a house that doesn't have a mortgage, at least you got a place to live. What I'm trying to say is the world that we've lived in and known our whole lives. I just turned 65. I was born in October of 1960. That world is not only going, it's already gone. And I've cried many a tear and I've mourned it. And as I've said in many videos, I drive my school bus. I'm a school bus driver and a book editor. That's an interesting combination. And I see those kids every day. And I think about the world that we're leaving them, and I'm not proud. So that's why I propose that we create the Order of the Jedi, and people like myself who are aware of what's going on, who feel called to be of service and to train in mediumship and manifestation, all the Neville Goddard type stuff, some of the supernatural stuff, working with, as shamans do, with guides, with angels, this kind of thing. I know this is going to sound batshit crazy to a lot of people who might find this video, okay? But if you're ready, you'll understand what I'm talking about. What I want to do is organize some online meetings and some in-person meetings, and we'll do some trainings and workshops before we go to Costa Rica. And we'll figure out what we collectively want to achieve there. So that's not to say, I'm not saying you can't drink the ayahuasca and go on your own journey and learn about your own issues and heal and all that good stuff. You're going to get that too. But what's different about what I'm suggesting is we're going to go there with some objectives. It's not for me to say what those objectives should be, but I kind of want guidance from Madre, from Source, about how we can be successful in taking back this world. And then when we take it back, we set up a society where this will never happen again. Okay? And that might not be achieved in my lifetime. In fact, I don't expect it to be achieved in my lifetime. But if we create, just like in the Star Wars movie, an Order of the Jedi, and maybe we'll have a special ring, and we'll have awards, and we'll have, I don't know what it'll look like, but I think it'll be pretty good. Oh, okay. You hear that? The vacuum truck is back, making noise, trying to shut down my video. Funny that, isn't it? When you understand these things, and you will, you'll understand how the universe works. There's no coincidences. So that's the invitation. Now, if you don't want to drink ayahuasca, there are many other teacher plants to work with and psychedelics that are not plants. So that's a whole other conversation we can have. And I feel called to serve edible cannabis and some other special plants that are not psychedelics, like bobansana. So there's that work. But if you're not even interested in that, it doesn't mean you're excluded. There's other ways to achieve this stuff. So I'm just talking about this because this has been my training. I'm also very highly experienced in Advaita Vedanta and the non-dual traditions that came out of Buddhism, and in the Tao, T-A-O, pronounced as if it was spelled D-O-W. So we can, ultimately, I think the Jedi training, as I propose, is going to include options for people from Taoism, Zen Buddhism, karate, kung fu, and judo, Tai Chi, and so on, Advaita Vedanta, and the Amazonian teacher plants, and other things. Because we're basically creating a new culture. But it's a very ancient culture. It's very old. And as an aside, and I'll get into this in other videos, we've been here before, folks. This is not the first time. This is not the first reset. And I'm not just talking about within the history that we learned in school and the acknowledged history of human life on this planet. I think we've been here for a lot longer than we've been told. And I think I think all of this has played out many times before. And we can get into that later. If you want to get a jump on the training, you might want to start watching videos or reading books from Jason Breshears of Archaics. Anyway, it will not be up to me to create the curriculum. This is going to be a group effort. And I want to emphasize that this Jedi training and this Jedi order is going to include men and women. Because in the past, what used to happen in patriarchal societies, it was very much a male thing. But I think what we're going to see in the new society and the new earth we're going to bring in is the sacred feminine and the divine masculine coming together. And it will be men and women working together to bring the light. And there's all kinds of new age versions of what I'm talking about, and there's some people are very practical and they don't like to hear about psychedelics, or they may be resistant to Eastern philosophy. Like, this is not set in stone, folks. But I'm just riffing on what I know and what my training is and what brought me to this understanding. And I know that there's truth and freedom groups, as I choose to call them, meeting all the time, every month, some every week or every 2 weeks, all over Canada, all over other countries. I'm a member of one that meets in Huntsville, and they're doing great work. I'm also a member of Soulshine, that started as a festival, and now we have a thing called The Pantry, which is alternative food and goods delivery and distribution system, because we're preparing for what's coming. And recently, Soulshine has been organizing tours of alternative building and housing designs, because they want to, I should say we, because I'm part of it, we want to eventually build an on-the-ground community. So there's some really great work being done. But what I'm specifically talking about here is a group of people that for fun we'll call the Jedi. Maybe we'll choose a different name down the road. And we're going to specifically task ourselves with figuring out the white magic side to counter the black magic that is so obviously at work here. There's a reason why intelligent people with university degrees are still completely zombified. Okay, this affected my family. There was a death of a family member, and no one in my family has put it together. And that's their right. I can't impose my views on others, nor would I want to if I could. So, how long have I gone here? 25, 26 minutes. Yeah, I wanted to keep this under half an hour. So I'm going to wrap it up. There's a lot more I have to say about this. There's more about my background, my training, things that Vanessa and I are doing, studying mediumship on Wednesday nights and all this kind of stuff. But I'll save that for another day. There's a lot to discuss about what should be in the curriculum. Where do we meet? How often do we meet? What if we're physically, geographically separated? Do we meet online? Blah, blah, blah. So we'll discuss that another time. But what I want you to do is contact me, and I'll give you the information about how to do that in a second. But once again, I'll give you the dates for those who are interested in the ayahuasca training and the ayahuasca trip. And by the way, this will be, these ceremonies are being hosted by a very close friend of mine, one of my closest friends, a woman who is highly trained herself. She's already a Jedi warrior. And she's the perfect person to host this. And she works with other curanderos as well from the authentic traditions, blah, blah, blah. So just write down the date, March 16th to 20th, 2026, and April 10th to 12th, 2026. I plan to participate in both of those gatherings. We will follow the instructions and the guidance of the person running the ceremonies, of course. I'm not going to interfere with any of that, but we will be a group within the group that will also be having conversations and working to achieve specific things that have yet to be determined. So if this interests you and you feel called, here's how you get a hold of me. I'd rather not put out my cell phone number in a platform like this, but you can reach me under my name, Guy Crittenden, on Facebook, excuse me. That's probably the best way. Send me a private message there, or you can email me. My account is, I'll say it and then I'll spell it. It's gcrit@protonmail.com. So that's G, like my first name, Guy, and then CRIT, as in tango, the first 4 letters of my last name. There's no periods or anything in there, all lowercase. Not that that matters. At protonmail.com. Send me an email. I get a lot of emails, so maybe in the subject line, put something like Jedi training. Jedi, Jedi, Jedi. And then it'll pop out to me. Maybe put it in all caps so it doesn't get lost. I'd like to have 5, 6, even maybe up to 10 people for this. Just for that experience. I want way more people for the actual order over time. And I'll just sign off by saying I want to develop a curriculum, and there'll be books and everything, so that this can be passed on to the next generation, the Luke Skywalkers among us. um, I want to create something that will survive my life. And given that I'm making videos like this, I don't know how long that life is going to be. I'm kind of doing a Stanley Kubrick here. But I've already seen that that I live long enough to get this going. So I'm not afraid. So there you go. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I will do a call out or a shout out video, a Facebook Live, obviously on Facebook, to call attention to this video. You can share this video with your friends and family members, but I suggest only share it with people who you think might want to join and be part of this. This is not something that we should just be sharing with the world per se, but I'll leave that in your hands. You use your own judgment. So there you go. That's my idea. That's how you get in touch with me. There's some dates of some things we're going to do. And I know we all have busy lives, and I have work as well. So we're going to fumble our way through this initially. But at the end of the day, at some point in the not too distant future, I think we're going to have a membership society with training to effectively do the work of knights, KNIGHTS, of knights in this new world that we're coming into. We can't just leave it to the data centers and the digital ID and all that. And I'm sad to say, it looks like we're moving into that world. So we're going to need special skills to do what we need to do. So anyway, have a good day or night whenever you're watching this, and I look forward to hearing from people who are serious people. We'll have a lot of fun, but it's serious work. Thank you.